All right. Um, so obviously you've had some complications with the disease. So can you like explain that experience and what caused it?
Uh, some of the things that the complications you have with diabetes is the first thing you get. It's called diabetic nerve pain. It's where you get shooting pains in your legs and your feet, especially at nighttime. Um, and then there's a thing that's called neuropathy. It's where you lose your feeling in your legs and your feet, and you could actually take a needle or tip of a knife and stick your leg or your foot, and you won't feel it. And I had neuropathy uh, back in 2013, and I was working at a summer camp, was lifeguarding, was in the pool a lot. Feet got, real wet and pruny from being in the water so much. And when I was walking around camp with shoes on, I got a blister on the bottom of my one foot, and the blister broke. And because of the neuropathy and not having the
Yeah.
feeling, didn't feel it. And within 2 days, the blister got infected, and I got gangrene, and I had to amputate half my left foot. And once that happened, um, I went for like a year, and it took a year for the incision area of the amputation on my foot to heal. And finally, it healed and everything. And then all of a sudden, I got sick. My sugar dropped. I went into a coma for 2.5 months, and the infection got back into my blood and got into my knee, and my knee got septic, and I had to drain the knee 3 different times while I was in the coma. And while I was in the coma, the infection got back into my bloodstream, got over into my other leg, and got into my heel. And when I came out of the coma, the doctors told me that they had to amputate the half of the left leg because of the infection getting into my bones. And if I didn't get it amputated at that time, they would have to take more of the leg, and it's harder to learn how to walk with the
Mm-hmm.
prosthetic above the knee than below the knee. So a year later, they had to take half my left leg. So
Okay. Um, so you mentioned the two uh, amputations. What was the healing process like for that?
uh, with the foot, what they do is when they take the toes and they amputate the toes and part of the foot, they keep the bottom part of your foot, the skin, and they actually fold it over and enclose your foot around the rest of the bone that's still left there. And that didn't heal as well and as quickly as they needed to, and it took almost a year for it to heal and get the incision area to
Is
close.
there a reason why for that?
That it didn't heal.
Yeah.
Uh, I they never said, but I talking to other doctors when I had my leg amputated, they seemed to think that when they took and did the incision area that they didn't get all the infection and all the blood out when they before they closed it, and it stayed in there, and that's what caused it not to heal as fast. Plus, you also have to when you don't have a lot of people don't realize with diabetes, you're you lose that feeling, that neuropathy, and that feeling, and your circulation in your feet. Your feet are actually like the U-turn of
Mm-hmm.
when your heart pumps blood out through one chamber and into the rest of your body, and it goes through your arteries and your veins and everything. It goes down through your legs and into your feet, and your feet are like a highway of blood vessels and everything, and then it makes a U-turn, goes back up and goes back into your heart.
Mm-hmm.
While when you don't have the circulation and the blood flow down in your life, everything takes twice or 3 times as long to heal. Like if I get a cut or a scrape,
Yeah.
it takes months for it to heal rather than the normal couple weeks for somebody that doesn't have that issue with circulation. And then with them taking the leg, it was further up, so I had better circulation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the leg healed much sooner. And I think it was because I had better doctors also with at Jeff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a long process. You don't realize that um, you know I was in bed for 4.5, 5 months. I didn't do anything. I mean, I was basically bedridden
Mm-hmm.
for 4.5 months. 2.5 months I was in a coma. didn't eat, didn't do anything. And then when I came out of the coma, it was 4 months after that before I even started doing physical therapy. And I had lost 64 pounds while I was in the coma and after I came out. And so I had to learn how to sit up, how to stand, how to walk again, how to get out of a chair, to do everything. I had to learn how to balance, I had to learn physically how to walk again, how to use my arms, how to use, to take the right steps and gain that core again and gain my balance and learn how to walk again. When I first started getting on my feet after I got out of the wheelchair and then was using a walker, and then went from the walker to the cane and then without the cane, my biggest fear was losing my balance and falling. And that took a lot of physical therapy to get my core strength and get my legs back to where when I did walk and I walked on angles or hills or changing of surfaces, that I learned how to use my core to keep my balance. But I had to learn how to walk again.
So a lot of the beginning was building up your muscles again.
Yeah. I mean, they had me do these leg exercises when I was in bed, and I would have to lift up my leg and hold it out, and I had no muscle in my quads, no muscle around my knee, and because I didn't do anything for 5-6 months, I had to build all that back up. And when you first go through this, with an amputation, not so much with the foot, but with the leg, and you have to put your leg on every day, there's that initial like, wow, my life's changed, and I have to literally, you can't get up and just do what your instincts say. I have to go through a little bit of a process every time. If I get up out of a chair and I don't have the leg on, I got to put the leg on and make sure it's on, and then stand up and make sure the leg settles down into the socket of the prosthetic. Or I have to be aware of my conditions. If it's outside in the summer, I have to keep track of the liner that's underneath, that if it doesn't get too wet from sweating or everything, and then if it starts to sweat, then your leg starts moving, you got to worry about friction blisters and things like that. And then at night I go through a routine. I check the bottom of my foot with a mirror. I check the bottom of my leg. Every couple of nights I have to lotion my legs to keep the moisture in my skin. There's so many little things you got to constantly be aware of and watch, so you don't have complications. Like I'm going through right now, I have to get a new prosthetic because my leg is remolding again. And what I mean by that is, when it started out, it was like, full of fluid and muscle. And now, because it's always in the socket of the prosthetic all the time, it forces the fluid out of your leg, and my muscle is constantly changing. So my leg is remolding, and they said it'll take sometimes up to 2 years, which is almost 2 years now. And my leg's remolded again, so now I have to go get fitted for a new prosthetic, so I don't have any complications. Because if you're on your feet for a certain amount of time, or it's in the prosthetic too long and the bone pushes against the inside of it, you can have the bone split and break the skin. If you do that, then you got to, one, worry about infection. Two, it takes a long time for it to heal. Three, you can't be on your feet because you can't have that rubbing and that pressure against it. You have to let it heal, so you got to be careful. So I go through a regular nightly ritual as far as checking, my leg and my foot and all, and my skin and all. So.
All right.